Welcome back, everybody, to the podcast. We're vibing today. And let's start it off, man. Adam, last night you were streaming and you finished the Nightmare Before Christmas DMC game.
Dude, it's so... I think I said it before, and I definitely said it on stream. I played this game a long time ago when it first came out. And just going through it again made me realize how much I love this game. Not only does it play really, really well, but the mechanics are really nice. Like when you get to switch between Pumpkin King Jack, so your fire-based attacks, and then Santa Jack for all your kind of like your items, essentially. It's just so clean, So I don't know if you saw this, but if I'm dodging away, I can actually change forms while I'm in mid-dodge to give me an extra iframe.
Oh, nice.
Which is pretty cool. Yeah.
Very Dante-esque.
Exactly. This is literally just DMC, Nightmare for Christmas. Really good game. The songs are great. The versions that they do in the game are a little bit different than the original movie. And the new ones are also really good. It's just a great time. I really, really like it. I'm definitely going to add this to my speedrunning list. I just need to remember how to get through certain areas and, take some really good notes, because there was a couple places I was stuck at for like an hour and a half. So can't have that happen in a speedrun.
Is this like connected to the movie in any way? Like this is post?
Oh, yeah, dude. This is full on canon, man. Yeah, so the premise is, Jack leaves Halloween Town, right after the movie, because he wants to find new ways to make Halloween better again, right? Except he doesn't want to use the holidays this time, now that he knows what they're all about. It's like, no, I can figure this out.
Yeah.
He gets a letter from Sally saying to come back to Halloween Town. He comes back, everything's fucked up because Lock, Shock, and Barrel brought Oogie back to life. And now he's wanting to be the 7 Holidays King. Obviously, there's multiple phases for the final boss. The first one's pretty cool, but the second one, where it's just all the rhythm game stuff, like all the other bosses, so nice. It's so good. I can't recommend this game enough. If you're a fan of Tim Burton, if you're a fan of Nightmare Before Christmas, if you're a fan of hack and slashes, DMC style games, like definitely try this out. Emulate it if you can, or if you can find it out in the wild. It's a good time. I loved it. Like most older games of that era, like some of them were kind of hit or miss. Like it was really, really good, it was really bad, or very few and far in between. But this one was just spot on. Even when I was going through the forest to put all the holiday doors back, like I was kind of worried when I went back in there. I was like, oh man, okay, this is that chapter. But as I was navigating through it, it's like, oh no, this is great. This is perfect.
Heck yeah. And the VODs, they're on your Twitch, right?
Correct. That'll be at twitch.tv/BamAdam. So I did it in 2 streams. I kind of just burned through it last night as best as I could. So second half is last night, and the first half will be the week before.
And on my end, I also played a PS2 game last time we chatted. Finally going through the Ratchet and Clank series. I was like, yeah, you know what? Let's just go in real quick. And so I'm playing the first one. Like, just right off the bat, man, this game could be frustrating as heck, dude. Like, there's just some things I don't miss about the PS2 era of games, and it's just the bullshit that just comes out of nowhere.
That's exactly what I'm meaning with the Jack game, right? Like, there are certain games that do it really, really well. Other games, like you're saying with Ratchet and Clank, it's like, dude, this is ass. This is some hot ass.
It pains me to say that because there's a lot of good stuff in the game. There's a lot more going on than I kind of thought. And, I did play the remake on PS4, but I don't remember a whole lot of it. From what I could just see, it's like, yeah, there's stuff different in there to where it's more focused as to the movie. I'm treating this game as its own thing. Right off the bat, dude, one of the things I really liked about it was just the blast of nostalgia that you get out of it. Yeah. The designs, they're just of the era. It really defines PS1, PS2 style characters for action platformers. It's like that cartoony look that they have that we just don't really see anymore. The music feels great, and there's like certain audio cues that play, like sound effects and all that, where I'm like, oh, this is straight up from the Spyro trilogy, because I'm pretty sure this is the game Insomniac did right after Enter the Dragon when they were done with Spyro. And so you could hear a lot of that in the sound in the noises and all of that. And so I'm like, oh, that's pretty fun, you know. That definitely gives me a nostalgia vibe. And again, there's a lot more going on than I thought. The fact that you could play as Clank in here, there's a couple good sections in there where you're playing as him, and I wasn't expecting that. I should have expected like the parts where you could fly jets and go into space and all of that. That stuff was cool. There's some stuff where it's really fun and can help with the game. Like you get the magnet boots, so you could walk on these metal rails to go across the areas.
That's pretty cool.
And my favorite part about that is when you're on them, you know, they're going upside down, sideways, and all of that. The camera is following you, so it's not a static shot. So it gives you the illusion of you actually going through, you know, via the screen. Kind of like if you go to Universal and you go on those rides, you know, it kind of feels like you're going with the motions. Right. And that's what I was getting the feeling of here, just the way the perspective of the camera was. It was a little lower than what you would expect when you're just playing normally. And that was a great touch. That's probably like one of my favorite parts of the game. Gameplay is solid. It feels... there's some parts where it's like, ooh, yeah, this is outdated. When you have to use guns, mainly, to aim, you can go first person and aim, but it's like you're just you're just stuck. You can't really move.
Oh, I see. Right.
Yeah,
right.
And that could get pretty frustrating because the enemies do not want to stand there and wait for you to attack them. There's a lot of like, I want to say like bullet hell-esque parts where they'll get a group of enemies and boy, they will just rock your shit if you're not careful.
You know, when you mentioned the shoes and the perspective changes, that reminds me of the new Ratchet and Clank where you get to do that and how the perspective changes and how it just kind of follows you. So I might have to look at the VOD and see that happen because I want to see the differences, you know, like how it started, how we got here, you know, that whole kind of deal.
Yeah, you know, just jumping ahead a bit, like we did get the state of play where we got more gameplay look at Rift Apart. I gotta say, right off the bat, it looks amazing. And yeah, just seeing the differences between the two it's pretty interesting how a lot of it stays the same. There's a lot of quality of life improvements, but then again, I don't know how much of that's in Rift Apart and how much of that is just from the series evolving because, you know, there's so many games. But yeah, I mean, aside from my frustration with the game, I still say it's solid. Definitely fun to look at. Boy, do those PS2 models can look a little wonky sometimes.
Yeah, buddy.
Where it's just like, oh, look at that. It's the eyelid is a separate object and it's clipping through his eyeball.
Those are the best.
For some reason, his teeth like to clip too, and it leaves this weird gap where his gum should be.
You love to see it.
Yeah, you love to see the jankiness that's in there. Again, and I was surprised too. Like the reboot introduced a lot of new characters that just weren't in this game. Like there was a part where I was going somewhere, and I was like, "Oh, this is where we meet these people," and it's like, "Oh no, they don't even exist, dude." But then again, they could be in the later games. And I know there's some fans of the series that they didn't like the PS4 game. And I was like, well, I thought it was fine, but then again, that was me going in blind. So I think after I go through this series, you know, because I will play the PS4 game again because I don't remember a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
And then we'll see.
I think that's why I always like starting new franchises from the beginning of the story if I can.
Yeah.
Because I want to try and encompass the full experience and see what other people felt. You know, like I was watching the streamer play the entire Kingdom Hearts series, and she was like, "I get it. You know, I understand what people were feeling. Like, yeah, I didn't have to wait for each game because you know I got into it now.
Yeah,
but just to experience it in that kind of way, like that's what I love to go through. That's what I love to see other people go through as well when they go through their series. You know, like I feel very much the same way about Yakuza.
Yes, exactly. Though with Yakuza, it was a bit different for us though, right? Because we hopped in from 0.
Right, which is the latest game besides Like a Dragon that had come out.
Yeah, I think it came. I don't know if it was before or after 6 when it came out, but yeah. But still, I say definitely start with 0 because it just makes the first game so much better.
110%.
Yeah. So yeah, man, I'll be going through Ratchet and Clank through the stream. Hopefully get through all of it before we hit Rift Apart, which is June, I think 11th. So we're a little bit over. We're about a month away. And then so yeah, let's just go into it, man. State of Play happens. They showed off 2 indie games and Rift Apart. And I mean, it was Among Us was one of them, and I was like, "Oh, really? We're bringing that in?"
Yeah, hold on. I want to talk about this, dude. Okay, so I haven't played this game. I have it on Steam. I think I bought it for like $2 or something when it was on sale. I was like, "Fuck it, whatever." Like, this is the hype. It's not even that much. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
And then it blew up like it did. You know, good for the game. Good for the people that made it. But it's like, why take up a slot in your State of Play for this game?
Yeah.
You could have just like shadow dropped it. You could have just put out a post like, "Hey, we're bringing Among Us to PlayStation. Cool, here's the date. Like, here's some new shit that's coming with it," you know? But like, when I look at these kinds of directs, these kinds of presentations, I think to myself, okay, you're going to put something on here that's going to take so much amount of time. And it should be something either really new or something that we've seen before that's kind of expanded on, you know. And when I saw Among Us, I was like, all right, dude, I'm checking out. I'm not going to pay attention until the screen changes to something else. But that's just me personally. You know, again, I haven't played the game. I don't really know the hype for it because I've never experienced it. But don't put that in your State of Play. Just I don't need it there.
Yeah,
I sleep.
I mean, it's weird. Like, I get it. It's Among Us. You know, it's very popular. I think the only reason it was there was because of the little thing they announced with it, which was Ratchet and Clank will be in the game
As skins, right?
Yeah, so a skin will be for Ratchet, and then you have like little companions that walk around with you in the game, and then that'll be Clank.
I see.
And I was like, you know what? It makes sense because Ratchet and Clank's a series that's not a stranger to crossovers like that. I think both Ratchet and Clank were in Super Bomberman R. Like, that was one of their crossovers that they did a while back. And I'm pretty sure they've been in some other stuff too. More indie-ish games, you know, non-AAA.
I mean, and this is also going to tie into Rift Apart as well. You know, and I said this to you when you were streaming the other day. Like, it's just seeing these games come out for next gen, we're really starting to see what next gen's all about. You know, like we're really starting to get into that cycle of like, oh wow, this is what we can do now with our indie games, you know, with our AAA games, and just to see that is pretty cool.
Yes, yeah, man. So we got like, I think it's like 15 minutes of gameplay of Rift Apart, and man, it looks crazy. Just seeing how all the lighting works. The biggest note to me was like how Clank looks, right? The metallic texture he has, and the way the ray tracing works off of it, and how the lights bounce. It's really incredible stuff. And then even with the new mechanic where, you know, you're going through portals that are ripped through space to get to the next area, was not expecting it to move like that. I thought the whole map was gonna move. No, I thought we were gonna move through the portal, but instead it's like the world moves to you. And that,
which is really cool.
It is. It threw me off the first time we saw it. I was not expecting that. And hey, you know, that it's so cool to see photo mode show up in a game like this.
Yeah, man, I really hope we start to see more photo mode. I haven't checked if because I haven't been on Returnal since I started the other day,
right,
if it does have photo mode. But I really like that option in there. You know, I know that 7 Remake is going to have photo mode.
Yes, yeah,
once that drops. So I can't wait for that. But just, I feel like there's just so much potential to be done there.
We got some look at the new character as well. Her name's Rivet, the new waifu.
FIFT.
She uses a hammer instead of a wrench. And she also has her own slate of weapons, too. So I'm wondering if there's going to be some crossover between Ratchet's and hers. Or if it's like, oh no, we made weapon sets for each individual character.
I'm going to lean towards she has her own set.
Yeah, and I don't mind it if she has her own or not. You know, there's so many weapons that they could pick from the whole series.
But either way, this is a game I will probably get day one.
Oh yeah, I got that pre-ordered, and I can't wait to check it out.
It's gonna be a good time.
And you know, my only thing is, it's up to Sony, really. Well, I guess Insomniac if they want to do it, but like, big opportunity here to bring in Jak and Daxter.
God, dude, I want it so bad. I really do. I would love to see a new Jak and Daxter.
Yeah, because the last time we saw them was in All Stars, and the time before that was PlayStation Heroes, and then the time before that was The Lost Frontier. And according to Julian, that game is ass.
That was the PSP game?
It was a PSP and PS2 game. The whole focus is on Rivet for the new hotness for this game and the rest of the series. So I guess a crossover is asking too much. And yeah, that's pretty much the state of play. It was very short. I thought at least half an hour, but it ended up being, I think, like 20 minutes. So while we're getting hyped and talking about stuff coming out, man, let's talk about, I don't know if you saw yet, Adam, the new trailer dropped for Castlevania Season 4.
I did, dude. I did watch the trailer, and I think it's time to watch it, man. I think it's time for me to finally, like, get in here and see what the hell is going on.
Course, it's I'm forgetting the animation studio. I think Powerhouse is their name.
Is it Powerhouse that's been doing it? Dude, if it is, then I'm gonna feel like a huge moron for not have watching this earlier. Hold on, I'm gonna check this right now. Yeah, dude, it was Powerhouse. Wow. Yeah. Okay. That's my bad, dude. I should have been watching this from the get-go. They do great things.
Yeah, man, all their recent stuff on Netflix has been fantastic. I can't wait to see what they're going to be doing with He-Man coming up.
Well, I know what I'm watching this week.
Yeah, and sadly, it's the fourth and final season, and that'll be dropping this month in May. And then Netflix, they also announced that we're getting both Sailor Moon Eternal movies June 3rd.
Dude, I'm fucking ready, bro. I've been waiting. I'm telling you, man. All the, 30 pages I follow on Twitter all blew up at the same time, and I was like, this is it, dude. This is what I'm here for. So yeah, we're getting both, and it took me a second to realize this, but Japan is dropping the Blu-ray for both on Usagi's birthday, which is June 30th. So hopefully we get the localization of that over the summer. I would assume so, since it's already there. Just got to add the subtitles, and you already have it in Netflix. There are some changes to the trailers as opposed to what we got in the for the Japan trailers before the movie released. So I think these ones are more true to form, and okay. It looks great. I can't wait. It's gonna be a good time, man.
The Gintama movie is also getting a Blu-ray release later this year in Japan. I think it was August, and that's cool. So hopefully we could get it out here in the West. I know the other two movies got releases, but talk about limited release.
I mean, did it do well in Japan, though? That's always been what I look for if we're going to see anything in the West. You know, if it does really well there, then they kind of have more of a justification to put in the work to localize it. Yeah, I know this movie did well. I have a feeling they will release it because I think Grant told me, they announced that they're going to be re-releasing the manga out here in the West for Gintama. As like an omnibus? That's what I guessed. Probably omnibus. I don't know how far they actually went releasing the English volumes. There's 700 chapters, so that's a lot of volumes to pick in here. Probably the hypest news we have right here on the list is with our boy SIU over on Webtoons. So you told me this. Was this like in an update on the blog about Tower, or? Okay, so I saw this one dude I follow posts about it, and I was like, all right, dude, where's the sauce? And then he got the material from the official English source page on Twitter for Tower of God News. Oh. So when I saw that there, I was like, all right, dude, I'm in now. I'm fully in. I'm invested. Tower's coming back. I'm so fucking ready. I have the tab open on my computer to start reading season 2. Nice. Yeah. And you know, I think I might rewatch season 1 just because it did. I mean, there are certain scenes it did so well. I mean, minus. It won an award, right? At like Crunchyroll or something? I think it won Best Music. Oh, yeah. Yeah, that music's good. Yeah, I mean, I was like, dude, I don't think there's any other anime that season or that year that could compete with what this guy did for Tower. Mm-hmm. Big hype, man. If you guys aren't reading Tower, what are you doing? Best times now. The best time is right now. You can easily get through season 2 and 3 by the time Tower comes back. And chances are we're going to have like maybe 2 or 3 chapters once it comes back, or one really long chapter.
Yeah.
And then we're going to go back to our weekly. I'm just so ready, dude.
Yeah, I wonder how he's going to make it come out, because the first thing I thought of when it went on break was, oh, well, what about the Fast Pass chapters? Like, is he going to drop 3 chapters, or are the chapters going to come out before you can read it for free? Like, what's the situation with that,
Right. I don't know, because I actually got the Fast Pass for Viral Hit.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't wait anymore, dude. Once I saw things go on with Gaul, I was like, I gotta keep reading. I think it might just be weekly for everybody, or maybe he'll drop 4, like 3 for the Fast Pass, 1 for free.
Mm-hmm.
But who knows? I mean, I'm just happy for it to come back.
Or it could go the other route, like you just mentioned, Viral Hit, and I think I mentioned it to you when I was looking at the wiki, but the Korean webtoon for Viral Hit's like in the 70s for the chapter, so we're 40 chapters behind, but we are getting to a week. We're gonna catch up eventually, but that might be a thing that they do as well. As like, okay, let's get a bunch of chapters out in Korea first, because that's the main source of the fan base, and then eventually they'll drop some chapters for English, because it might not be in the top 10 anymore, but Tower was up there for a good while before the hiatus.
Oh, dude, and some other manga news. I think you saw this, and it makes me want to go and read it, like go pick up where I left off at. D. Greyman, there was a statement that said that D. Greyman's getting to its main close story point. And I looked at the thread and people were like, oh, dude, this was just a prequel. And I'm like, stop, bro. Stop.
How many years do I have to wait for the ending, man?
Dude, but I started speculating and I was like, yeah, this could literally be like a prequel kind of thing. There's just so much that happens. Like when I last caught up, I think like 2 years ago, it's crazy. It's so good. Like I wish it wasn't quarterly, but I know that the artist has some health problems and, she can't really do all too much with it. But God, dude, I really hope that once it does finish, or it gets so far, that they go back and they animate another season, because when they went and did that a few years ago for like right after where the anime had originally ended, they put in so much money, dude. It was phenomenal how they played it all out. It's just so good. I love you, Gray, man.
Yeah. Sadly, I did read it, but I don't remember anything at this point. It's been so long since I read it.
I think it's worth a reread, man.
Yeah.
Like when I went back to reread it, I was like, I'm just gonna start from the beginning. And it just it carried everything over for me.
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot to unpack in that series.
Yeah, and that's where, and if people don't want to read it, that's fine. Just watch the anime, the first one that's like 100-something episodes. It's pretty one for the most part. But yeah, once you get to that point in the manga or the anime, that tonal shift is insane. It's like, whoa, dude, you thought we were going to go this route? Nah, man, we're going deep into the depths of hell for this one. We're going dark.
So like I told you, like once it's over or we're nearing the end, I'll reread it. This isn't an anime, but it is animated, and it's amazing. The season finale came out for Invincible on Amazon.
So good.
And man, I play it on my iPad, and then I'll screen it to the TV. And then I'll have the iPad on the side, so that way it doesn't desync. And then just watching, like, what's going on. And I'll just keep looking. I'm like, how much time is left? A half hour?
Dude.
What's going to happen in 30 minutes, dude? Like, oh, it was so good.
I'm not going to lie. Before I started the episode, I was like, all right, please be a lengthy episode, dude. At least, like, 35, 45 minutes, man. And I think it was, like, 44 something. And it just, that thing was... Oh my God. Go watch Invincible. Do yourself a favor. Make your day better by watching Invincible. It's just so good. The voice acting is impeccable. The animation is great. The finale is phenomenal.
And again, neither of us have read the comics. I only knew of it by name and by Invincible's costume. And I was like, oh yeah, that's the Image guy. Cool. But yeah, after getting into it, I'm like, oh, I can't wait to start reading the comics now. But part of me also wants to wait to just watch season 2, kind of like with The Boys. I haven't read The Boys yet, but I just kind of want to see what the show's going to be doing. But at the same time, you know, there's a lot of money in this season. And the fact that these episodes are 40 plus minutes long for an animated show, that's a lot of time.
Yeah, and that's kind of where I drew the line, right? Because I also was like, I really want to wait to see this. You know, I want to go into it super blind. But then after the season finale, I was like, I can't wait. I'm just going to be super impatient. And I started reading the comics. I'm not too far in. I'm definitely going to be reading this like as time goes on. But man, it's really good. It did take me like a minute to get used to because, and I told you, you know, in our group chat, it's been a long time since I've read an actual comic, you know, and webtoons I feel like is different for me because it's like, oh, I already know like where to go. But I was like, I'm reading right to left. I should be reading left to right. Like there was a point, I think like 20 pages in, I was like, wait, hold on. I got to go back. I was reading everything backwards.
Yeah, man. So that's cool. And then, of course, the hype continues as we got the announcement. Green lighted for season 2 and 3.
I can't wait, dude.
Yeah. The boy Bardock Obama on Twitter, Saving the Bees, he's been hyping it up this whole time. And he's just like, dude, I can't wait for these characters to show up. And I'm looking and I'm like, I might have an idea, but oh, man, I don't want to spoil myself. But, man.
It's hard, man. It's hard. Like I don't know if it's just like the content I've been absorbing over the last couple of years, but like I start seeing certain screenshots or like reading certain parts of the story or seeing something and I'm like, dude, this is the way we're going. Mm-hmm. This is totally the direction. And I need to know. I need to confirm my thoughts.
Yeah. So, you know, yeah, good stuff. A couple of things I wasn't really expecting to see in the finale, but I liked how different it was. I mean, it might be a spoiler, I don't know, but I saw an article when I think episode 2 dropped, and it mentioned how, like, oh, you know, so-and-so discusses the love triangle that goes on in this series. As you could probably guess, Adam, right, what the love triangle is. But after watching the show, I'm like, oh, but it's not happening right now. And I'm like, oh, did that shit just spoil us for, like, season 2 or 3?
I mean, I don't know, man. I don't know. Look, like I said, I started reading the comics, and it's a lot more prevalent in there for sure. You know, but we'll see. We can only see.
Yeah, one thing I recommend if you're going to be watching it is to, like I said, I watched it. I screened it on my TV, and on my iPad, it was giving me like the IMDb facts or whatever of the show. And it was explained like, oh yeah, see, in this scene here in the comics, it was different. And then like, oh, this character didn't meet this person until issue 13 or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay, so that's cool that it's telling you like what's different and what's changing. And I think I mentioned it before when we first talked about it, of how it's Robert Kirkman, right, doing the show. And he mentioned on Kevin Smith's podcast that like, well, you know, we wrote those comics like 20 plus years ago. And after, you know, having to write the script for the show, by going through the comics, I was thinking like, actually, you know, we can make this better.
Have it make a little bit more sense in the timeline.
Yeah, have it be more cohesive. So that's the curious part I'm going to be looking at when reading the comic is the differences and seeing if it was better or not in the show.
Mm-hmm. Which is always like yours and my stipulation when it comes to things being adapted, right? Like, what's better? Was it the source material or was it the adaptation? And more often than not, it's always the source material, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, perfect example. Shout out to this YouTuber, Totally Not Mark. He does reviews for anime and manga, and he's going through Hunter x Hunter. And he's reading it because, you know, he is a fan of manga like us, but also the main reason is because he wants to get the full interpretation of the author's vision of the story. Right. And then he was pointing out various stuff in the first few arcs of how the impact just doesn't hit as well in both versions of the anime for Hunter x Hunter. Right. Whereas like there's like a certain scene that has good impact, but in the newer anime, it just doesn't hit because they wanted less blood in that version, and it just doesn't feel the same in certain scenes.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You know, you have to be able to carry that over if you're going to adapt something like that. And I mean, Hunter x Hunter is really good up to the Chimera arc. You know, that's where I draw the line. Once that arc ends, I'm like, all right, cool. We're done. We don't need it anymore. We're good.
The story ends. Yeah.
You know, and everybody knows on the show how big of a fan I am of Yu Yu Hakusho. I love this mangaka, like, to death. Like, I think the ideas implemented into Hunter x Hunter are phenomenal. I think they're really, really cool. But it should have been something totally different. You should have been like, cool, we're done. Hunter x Hunter 2, great. Or Hunter x Hunter fucking, like, whatever name you want to put onto it, that's fine. It's not the same story anymore.
So this week Marvel Talk will be out, and we'll be going more in depth with Invincible. Moving on to some other stuff here. I just saw this, and I'm very hyped. There's going to be some pre-orders up in October for some vinyls, and they are for the Yakuza 0 soundtrack.
I'm ready, dude. Take all my fucking money.
Yeah, man, that's pretty good. I mean, the series has a lot of great music, but I always end up going back to 0 and listening to certain songs just because they're so good.
Dude, I've been on this, like, 60s to 80s Japanese music binge, man.
Mm-hmm.
And I know, like, I was showing some of it to Jerry the other day, and he goes, this is because Yakuza, huh? I was like, I didn't even think about that, but yeah. Probably. It's just, I mean, Yakuza 0 definitely has my favorite music so far. Mm-hmm. You know, I really like 2, you know, Kiwami 2, but there's something about 0 that just hits different to me. Like, it's built different.
And, you know, honestly, I think it might just have to be because it's set in the 80s.
Yeah, dude, I just need to be plugged in somewhere that'll put me back into the 80s.
Because, you know, the thing about the whole series is the games take place only a few years from each other. Mm-hmm. And it's very rare to get, like, a big change in the locations that we're in. So maybe that has a factor into whether or not the music's going to change drastically from each game. Like, you know, there are good tracks, like I said, in all the games. You know, like, I'll pick a few that I like, throw it in the playlist, and like, oh yeah, like mainly the intro stuff is always great for the games, and there's just something about 0, dude. There's just something about it.
There's something about having 24-hour Cinderella on your roster that just makes me feel different.
Yeah, honestly, dude, even the disco music, like, I've been playing a lot. I've been playing those
so
more.
So good, dude. It's so good. All of it. I don't have any complaints about any of the BGM in Yakuza 0.
Yeah, no. So there's 2 editions. There's going to be a double LP that has like 27 tracks, I think, and that'll be up for pre-order for $35, that's a pretty good price.
That is a really good price.
Yeah, and then the other one is the limited edition 6 LP vinyls, and that is all the music. So that's over 40 tracks. And they all their slip discs look great. They're just pretty much Kiryu or Majima. We didn't get a price for that though. In the article I read, it just said for the double LP. And yeah, so that'll be coming out in October, dude. I can't wait to grab that up.
I got Returnal, which is great. I love it. It's amazing. I haven't died yet in my like 2.5 hours of game time, which is pretty great. But it just the mechanics are great. The visuals are, I think I came like when I turned it on, you know. It was just, it's again, I go back to what I said about Rift Apart, dude. This is next gen. This is the kind of thing we're gonna start seeing of the same level, if not like a million times better for everything for like the next like 5-6 years, if not more. Mm-hmm. You know, and just this is what makes me happy that I have the opportunity to experience it. You know, like I don't have to wait to get a PS5, you know, to play this game. It's just, it's so good. Like I'm so excited to see what's going to happen in the gaming world over the next few years. Like if this thing is already looking like this, Rift Apart looks the way that it does, this is gamers rise up, dude. That's all I can say. That's all I can say.
This was a while ago because we did take a break last week for the show, but I beat Shadow of the Tomb Raider finally. That ends off the Crystal Dynamic trilogy, starting from the 2013 game onto here. And aside from what I said, man, I will say there were some puzzles that really got me towards the end of the game that were pretty hard to figure out. It was when we were getting into the third act, it was feeling like the same copy-paste structure that the first two games were doing. And that got me a little upset because I'm like, oh, we were doing some different stuff, man. You don't have to go back. But luckily, it does start to do its own thing, which was nice. And I just will say it gets pretty anime at the end, and it left me with some questions though as to why it ended like this. Basically, what happens is Lara has to kind of she ends up getting like god powers at the end, but it's so that way she can fulfill the prophecy that's going on. And
wait, hold on. You said hold on. Give me a second to digest that. You said she gets god powers?
Yes, sir.
All right, dude, I'm downloading them right now. I need to make a purchase.
But look, you don't use the god powers though.
Oh! What?
Like, once you get it is when you defeat the final boss, and then you go into the cutscene for the rest of the story. And that's the part where I have a question about, because it says, like, oh, you know, it was supposed to be this other character that was going to get the powers, so that way they could sacrifice themselves to fulfill the prophecy, so the world doesn't end, or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And instead, Laura does it, and I thought, oh, so she's dying? But, you know, she's fine at the end of the game. And that was just confusing for me. I was like, well, wait, they said you have to sacrifice, you know, this specific god, and Lara became the vessel for that god. So I figured, like, oh, well, obviously she's going to go away. But maybe it's because, you know, this is a prequel to the mainline series.
Okay.
So that could be it. And yeah, it just, you know, ends on a happy note. And we just see her, you know, starting to do just what she wants to do now, because since the beginning of Rise of the Tomb Raider, it was all about her fighting Trinity, and now, like, that's kind of over now. So now she could do what she wants, and, like, she has, like, more breathing room in her life. So I appreciated that. I'm looking forward to see whatever the next game is going to be, and what approach they go from here, because I haven't played the other games, right, the OG ones, but I'm pretty sure Lara Croft is not bloodthirsty like she is in this game.
No, she's not. I grew up playing those ones. It's a totally different tone. I mean, the premise is the same of the, you know, the excavation stuff and all that, but that's not there.
Sure, the gameplay stuff is intense, just the way you kill people, like I've said, but there was a scene where she just became punished Lara, and she's just like, no, I'm gonna murder this person. Like, I'm not killing because I need to or have to. Like, I want to kill this person.
Dude, there was that scene in the church that I saw when you were streaming, and she was ready. Yeah. She was like, nah, man, I'm coming out with the clip and the clap, and y'all going down.
Yeah, it was pretty intense stuff. I was like, I mean, if this is where they're going to go with her character, I guess, for this series. You know, it made sense in the first game because they're on an island. Shit's popping off. Like, she needs to survive. Yeah, it's just in this game specifically, she is literally unfazed by all the murder. Even unfazed by other things. Like, so she gets attacked by a jaguar at one point, and it's just clawing her back. And I'm like, okay, it's a video game, yeah, because, like, she'd be dead already. But yeah, so she just kills the jaguar, and then she just walks it off. Like, doesn't even want to, like, patch up all the gashes in her back. She's like, no, I'm fine, I'm tough, kind of thing. And I was like, I mean, like, it's different from Nathan Drake. You know, I'll give it that. True. I still think, like, that's what they were trying to do with this game, is to say we have to be separate from Uncharted.
Right.
Yeah. You know, especially because I was rewatching some old videos, and when best friends were around, they were watching the Sony E3s, and then when they revealed Lost Legacy, right? The spinoff starring Chloe.
Mm-hmm.
One of their comments was like, wow, yeah, look at Naughty Dog and Sony just making Lara Croft irrelevant again. Or, or like pushing her out of the limelight. And it's like, I mean, yeah, that is kind of true. So it's like they really have to make sure that Lara stands out from the Uncharted series. But I mean, they got more breathing room now because who knows when the next Uncharted game will come out. So now all I'm looking forward to for Tomb Raider is the anime, and eventually I'll dive into the main series since I grabbed it up when it was on sale for the anniversary. But yeah, definitely, I would say play it. I mean, gameplay wise, it's so good. All the stealth stuff is my favorite out of the game so far. Pretty much, and other video game stuff. Skullgirls, they announced this coming Thursday, May 6th. We're getting the reveal for the second DLC character for the season pass. That has me hyped. It literally could be anybody, and I'll be excited.
Dude, I know who it's going to be.
Who's it going to be?
Me.
Yeah, yep. And hopefully on Thursday they'll give us the announcement for the console drop for the season pass, because that's still not up yet.
Oh, that's right. See, more of a reason for me to buy it on Steam already. Have it everywhere.
I guess because it's more of a process to throw it on console, and I know like they've had problems too with Sony when it comes to updates for the game. I think they did mention too, like the Vita PS3 version, like that's done. So maybe that has something to do with it, because the Vita PS4 is cross-buy. I was on Amazon. I think I was gonna watch an episode of Invincible, and then this new show that came out this year popped up on my feed, and it's called the Frank of Ireland, and I was like, oh, Ireland, huh?
Dude, the homeland.
Exactly. I'm like, oh, it's Irish. I'll check it out. And oh man, that first episode is hilarious. It's about a guy named Frank, and he has a lot of problems, so it's already right up our alley.
Dude, yes. I love... Give me more MCs with issues, dude. I want it. Give me more men with issues as an MC.
There's just so much happening in the first episode. A lot. Like, I laughed, I think, way too much on it. It was a great pilot. And then going into the rest of the series, it's fine. It's just doing more or less the same kind of humor the pilot was. But it doesn't hit as hard, but there's still some pretty good moments to check out. I'm still going through it right now, but I'll let you guys know when I finish if it's worth watching. But for sure, the pilot, yeah, I recommend checking that out.
Dude, you told me it was you had big Tommy Basilio vibes from Trees Lounge, and that's all you had to say, man. That's all you had to say.
So it's safe to say, guys, that will wrap us up for this episode. Thanks for sticking around. Like I said, new Marvel talk will be out. Hopefully tomorrow we'll be diving into Invincible and as well as some other comic book news. I'll mention it there for sure, but the last Marvel talk was a solo episode of me complaining about Falcon and the Winter Soldier.
As you should, dude.
Yes. And in that episode I said, because I did it before the finale, and I said, whatever the finale does, it won't change my opinion of the show. Mm-hmm. And that is true. I just have more complaints about the show now after watching the finale. So there was that situation going on. And I'll bring up more key points of that on the podcast. So that should be out tomorrow or later in the week. And then, I haven't watched it yet, but how was the Mortal Kombat movie, Adam? Real quick.
It's a movie. It's a classic video game movie. The fights, really cool. There's a lot of moves that are taken from the games, which is really cool. It's really corny. Yeah, it's a movie. I think it's worth to watch on HBO while it's still there for free.
Oh, that's right. That's right. It's only limited.
Yeah, I wouldn't pay to go watch this movie. Personally. I think if I did, I would be very disappointed. It's not really bad, but it's pretty bad.
So it's a video game movie, huh? All right.
That's why I opened it up. It's a video game movie. That's, if you want to see some cool fights with a story that's very lackluster, then yeah, 100% you'll enjoy it.
I was expecting it to be better than what most people are saying.
Yeah. I think Julian said it in our chat when he watched it. He said he preferred the 90s one. I'm with him on that. I think those ones were way better. Like, yeah, those are video game movies too. They've got their problems, but I think just for the way the story is written, those definitely take the cake. This one is like, I don't even know, man. There was a lot of decisions made that I just kind of sat here and was like, well, you did what you did, man. The fights were cool. That's all that I really cared about. If the fights are cool, I'm in it. Mm-hmm. The corny stuff, I love it, but it's a video game movie. What more can you expect?
Yeah, with that, we'll wrap up here this week. Yeah, we're dropping the manga reviews as usual to this week. Yeah, so those will be up, and you can follow us on Unverse Podcast anywhere on social media, and we'll let you know when those episodes go live. And then if you want to send an email, have any questions or comments, you can send those to unversepodcast@gmail.com, and we'll talk about those on the next episode. So, all right, guys, again, thank you for sticking around. And until next time, we will catch you on the next episode.